Presented by Listen Headlines, latest world news from trusted sources.
RT World News. October 24, 7:14 America, New York. Colombia arrests most wanted drug lord Otoniel in jungle raid involving 500 troops and 22 choppers. Colombian special forces have captured notorious drug trafficker Dairo Antonio Usuga, known as Otoniel, during a massive operation on Saturday. The alleged boss of the much-feared Gulf clan had been on the run for over a decade.
October 24, 7:07 America, New York. No, your kid probably shouldn't watch Squid Game. As fascination with Netflix's Squid Game grips the world, doctors have a word of advice for parents: don't let your kids watch.
Wall Street Journal World News. October 24, 7:04 America, New York. Endemic COVID-19 has arrived in Portugal. This is what it looks like. The country has one of the world's highest coronavirus vaccination rates. Its cautious return to normality is being closely watched by other countries as their inoculations inch higher.
Washington Post World. October 24, 6:57 America, New York. French sexual abuse victims denounce police mistreatment. Thousands of French women have denounced in an online campaign the response of police officers, victim blaming them or mishandling their complaints as they were reporting sexual abuse.
October 24, 6:30 America, New York. Picasso's works sell for nearly $110 million in Las Vegas auction. A selection of 11 Pablo Picasso works have been auctioned for a collective total of more than $110 million, after being on display for years in a Las Vegas restaurant. October 24, 6:08 America, New York. Assistant director on Rust was subject of complaints dating back to 2019. Hundreds mourn cinematographer as probe into film set shooting continues. Affidavit sheds light on shooting. October 24, 6:02 America, New York. With Brian Laundrie dead, here's where else authorities could look for answers on what happened to Gabby Petito. 3 questions remain about Brian Laundrie. See expert pathologist explain what was odd about scene with Laundrie's remains.
Washington Post World. October 24, 5:52 America, New York. Uganda's president says deadly blast likely a terrorist act. Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni says an explosion at an eatery in the capital, Kampala, was an apparent terrorist act.
October 24, 5:48 America, New York. Everest's 100 Years of Destiny and Death on the Roof. The world. It's a fact every school child knows. Mount Everest is the tallest mountain in the world.
Washington Post World. October 24, 5:42 America, New York. Israel set to OK 3,000 West Bank settler homes this week. A West Bank settlement watchdog group says Israel is expected to move forward this week with thousands of new homes for Jewish settlers in the occupied territory. Washington Post World. October 24, 5:40 America, New York. Sudan. Political tensions continue as protesters block roads. Pro-military protesters have briefly blocked major roads and bridges in Sudan's capital amid growing tensions between the generals and the pro-democracy movement that fueled the uprising against autocratic former President Omar al-Bashir. Washington Post World. October 24, 5:36 America, New York. Taiwan shaken by 6.5 magnitude quake, no injuries reported. Taiwan's northeast has been shaken by a 6.5 magnitude earthquake, causing buildings in the capital, Taipei, to sway.
BBC News World. October 24, 5:30 America, New York. The Gravedigger's Wife, Somali love story wins Africa's top film prize. Somali film The Gravedigger's Wife focuses on the lengths people go to save a loved one.
October 24, 5:17 America, New York. 1 dead, 5 injured in Uganda blast. 1 person has died and 5 others were injured after an explosion in Uganda's capital Kampala, the country's President Yoweri Museveni said in a tweet Sunday.
CNN.com World. October 24, 5:17 America, New York. 1 dead, 5 injured in Uganda blast. 1 person has died and 5 others were injured after an explosion in Uganda's capital Kampala, the country's President Yoweri Museveni said in a tweet Sunday.
October 24, 5:08 America, New York. What these trans comedians have to say about Dave Chappelle's jokes. On a summer night in New York's Greenwich Village, stand-up Jay McBride's energy was squirrely and unpredictable as she stood a few feet from a full crowd at the Comedy Cellar.
Washington Post World, October 24, 5:06 America, New York. U.S. urges N Korea to stop missile tests and return to talks. A senior U.S. diplomat has urged North Korea to refrain from additional missile tests and resume nuclear diplomacy, days after the North fired off its first underwater-launched ballistic missile in 2 years.
October 24, 5:01 America, New York. Containers ablaze on cargo ship. A fire broke out on Saturday on containers on a cargo ship carrying mining chemicals off British Columbia, and the Canadian Coast Guard said it is working with the U.S.
New York Times World News. October 24, 5 o'clock America, New York. I was hacked. The spyware used against me makes us all vulnerable. Invasive hacking software sold to countries to fight terrorism is easily abused. Researchers say my phone was hacked twice, probably by Saudi Arabia. A building at an address listed for NSO Group in Herzliya, Israel. New York Times World News. October 24, 5 o'clock America, New York. A world-class World Expo. The event in Dubai dazzles with extraordinary architectural achievements and a focus on the future of the planet. Singapore's pavilion at Expo 2020 Dubai features 80,000 plants from 170 different species, many arranged as hanging gardens. New York Times World News. October 24, 5 o'clock America, New York. A CIA fighter, a Somali bomb maker, and a faltering shadow war. The hunt for an elusive Somali militant illustrates why al-Shabaab, despite a decade of American covert action, are at their strongest in years. New York Times World News. October 24, 5 o'clock America, New York. Heavy is the burden on Japan's royal women. A princess who will soon marry represents the third generation to suffer intense emotional distress in a country that often consigns women to rigid roles. Princess Mako on her way to pray ahead of her marriage this week. New York Times World News. October 24, 5 o'clock America, New York. At the World Expo Pavilions, future visions combine past and present. Conversations with three figures integral to the conception of the Expo. Singapore's 16,000 square foot pavilion, Nature, Nurture, Future, recreates a tropical setting.